How are you? Hope everybody had a good break, good end of the year, and I am hiding my face because I'm a ninja. No, because for 3 weeks I have been doing something I've never done before. I grew a beard. Getting there. Anyways, I hope you guys are doing okay. Hope everybody's good. Hope everybody's happy. Hope everybody's healthy. Welcome to the third live stream out of this one with this foam brick wall that we're doing. OW Art Live number 42. And for those of you who are new, I got a lot of new subscribers over the last couple of days because of a short that I made that apparently the internet liked a lot. So thank you if you're new and you're here. Thanks for being here. This is Art in Real Time, where we do art in real time, believe it or not. And we're continuing with destroying the diorama that we started. I wanted to kind of just add to this diorama piece by piece and show everybody the actual step-by-step process of everything that I do. What's up, White Vegeta? So we're just going to continue that. This is basically how I do things. Sometimes in between there's layers of paint, layers of finish. What's up, Fat Red Foo? I decided to do this one without any paint to show you guys the full sculpting process. So yeah, we're going to do some more sculpting. As the thumbnail indicated, we're going to destroy this diorama. And I was kind of thinking about this, and in my brain, the way I organize destroying dioramas and destruction and decay, at least this type of a diorama, brick walls and stuff. What's up, Bart? Thanks for being here. Yeti Scout Trooper. Hey, Nightwolf 3176. Thanks for being here. Thanks for coming by. I hope you're doing good. What was I saying? Oh yeah. You might hear my heater go off a little bit in my shop. It's pretty cold here in northern Nevada. We had some snow finally yesterday, and the roads are crazy icy, so my heater's been going off, keeping me warm. But as far as destruction and demolition and decay go for like urban environments in real life as well as in the diorama world, I feel like there's kind of two ways that you could do it. One is naturally decayed, right, where stuff is falling apart because of a lack of upkeep or abuse to the building or whatever, people are not taking care of it, whatever. Or intentional decay or incidental decay, like the Hulk smashing through a brick wall, or Thanos shooting a missile at Avengers base and blowing a hole in the ground, right? So there's sort of natural and incidental or intentional decay. And so we're going to do some incidental slash intentional decay to this diorama. I want to kind of make it look like somebody smashed through the wall or a missile hit it or something like that. With that said, there's two ways I think you could go with your decay if it's like this, right? So you could do it more leaning into, I like to call it sort of the comic book style route. I don't know what other people call it, but it's more like it looks stylized and it looks like it jumps off the page of a comic book, right? Where the way that you cut out the destruction or make the destruction happen is a little bit less hyper real and more fun and dramatic. Or there's the way that is very hyper real, like how a wall would kind of naturally fall apart because of the way it's constructed. I'm going to be going that direction on this one, but you can feel free to go the more comic accurate type route with a little bit more fun explosive cracks. But I'm going to show you what I mean, and I'll explain it as I do it, kind of where I would have gone differently if I went the more sort of comic book style rather than the hyper real style. So I'm going to discuss that as I do it. But anyways, if you're new to the channel or if you don't know, this is episode 42 of Art in Real Time. I think there's like 10 or 12 live streams available in this series in the live stream playlist. The rest are in the members only section archives, and there's over like 75 hours of content over there for them if you're interested in that. And there's exclusive videos for members and exclusive videos for the workshop masters that I'm always working on. I've got 3 or 4 that I'm like trying to catch up on here before I go to Vegas, which is another cool thing that's happening at the end of February. So if you're watching in the future times, like after February of 2024, thank you, I love you, thank you for being here. But this is just for everybody right now. I will be at IMOMA, which is the International Market of Miniature Artisans, IMOMA, in Las Vegas, the last Thursday through Sunday of February. The retail show, which is open to the public, where you can buy stuff that I make, is the last Saturday and Sunday, but there's a wholesale show where I can sell to people who have shops around the country. So I'll be there for that as well. And if you haven't seen the Tiny Art Experiment playlist, I will be bringing the entire Tiny Art Experiment to Vegas and setting it up on display with sand on 3 giant tables. It's going to be the finished display should be what, 4, 8, 6, 7, 8, like 8 feet by 8 feet. We're setting up the display, and I'm revamping it. I'm adding some more detail. I'm going to make sure the lights are working that are in there this time, and whatever I have time to basically do the week before I go to Vegas on that is what I'm going to be focusing on, and I'll probably be live streaming a bunch of that with the members when I get around to that, and sharing that with the participating artists. We had, I think, about 20 artists from all over the world make stuff for that. So if you like to see it in person and take photos of it, and come, you can even come shoot it if you want as a toy photographer. You can come and check it out. My table will be set up right next to the Tiny Art Experiment, so you can ask questions. We have one of our pie box models, one of our artists who contributed, made these little QR code scannable keychains that he's going to be sending me, so we can have them there, so you can take one of those, scan it, and read all about it. Read about all the artists. It will send you a link to all the artist profiles, and you can read about them and what they contributed and who they are. Because we had some really, really incredible people contribute. I mean, well, they're all incredible, but we had some really awesome people contribute some amazing things that you could see in person. So I hope you guys will be there and you see that. I already talked to some of my toy photographer friends as well as diorama artist friends that they haven't shared on their socials that they're coming to the event, but they did tell me that they're going to be there. So there's going to be some pretty awesome people hanging out there Saturday and Sunday, buying miniatures, meeting cool people, and hanging out. So I'll be there. If you want to be there and you can afford to be there, you can. If you go to IMOMALV, IMOMALV.com, there is ticket information. And so there is an entry fee. It's not dramatic. And there's also cheap hotel prices. They have a negotiated rate. So if you did want to come and spend the night, they got cheap rates for people coming to that event. So the code is on their website. So you don't have to pay like crazy Vegas booking fees, you know. You can pay like half that to stay at the hotel where they're having it. It's right next to the strip. So, you know, you can make a vacation out of it. That's what me and my wife did last year, and we'll be there this year kind of doing the same thing, sort of a sell some stuff, hang out, vacation week of sorts. So anyways, that's all of my announcements. The beard, that was the most important one. Had to get that out of the way first. Yeah, let's get into it. I hope you guys brought your knives. I saw somebody in the chat said they had their whiskey. Got your knives, your X-Acto knives. I don't have any whiskey. I can't really do alcohol anymore because my body doesn't like it. I just have it on rare occasions, and then only clear liquors because I can't do the brown stuff. It does not like my body has an allergic reaction. So enjoy your whiskey. Don't overindulge. Be careful. Be safe. Yeah, so I drink a lot of tea and coffee these days, and this stream is brought to you by pistachio Starbucks lattes. So I figured I'd see what it tasted like. Kind of just tastes like sugar. I don't really taste any pistachios. Yeah, here. And at the end of the stream, I'll show you guys a preview of some of the new items, by the way, that I will be selling in Vegas. They're things that I've never made before, that I've always wanted to make. I knew how to make, I just never had time to. So I made a bunch of them. And I will show you. I've been sharing them with the channel members. They've seen posts and updates over the last several weeks, and the workshop masters have gotten a lot of behind the scenes pics of the exact process, and I am in the process of filming a video on how to do this, so that'll be available to the channel members. Hopefully by the time I go to Vegas, I'll be able to drop that for them first. So anyways, stay tuned. On stream today with us we have Bricky and Mason. I put Red over here to bed. He was a little cranky today, so Red is taking a nap, but Bricky and Mason are here with us. So thank you for your patronage. All right. Hey guys, what's going on? Bart's allergic to coffee. Well, I'm allergic to whiskey and Bart's allergic to coffee. Cool. TK Magic Shop. Awesome. All right. Make sure I say hi. Thank you guys for all the likes again. I appreciate that. 13 likes. All I was doing was talking for 10 minutes. Thank you. So this is how far we've come in our diorama thus far. If you haven't been watching, you can watch the entire process for this wall, the entire process for the sidewalk and street on the last two streams, episode 40 and episode 41. I did do this two detail pieces and in between as an in-between episode for the channel members, but it's the same concept we applied here. They just got to see me do it with my hands. And we added those magnets last time. Remember I told you guys that epoxy, the two-part epoxy does not stick to tape? Well, here you go. Here's the proof. I peeled the tape off, and our magnets work great. See there? And wobble it around, and they work great. Ta-da! Okay, let me get an action figure. Yeah, we'll use Mr. Greedo here. We'll have Greedo Hulk smash through the wall. Hello. Ituta. All right. So we can have Greedo Hulk smash through our wall. So now I'm just using him for scale so we can figure out what we want to break. Obviously, the Hulk's bigger than Greedo, or Juggernaut's bigger than Greedo if you wanted to do this that way. But I'm just doing this so that I can mark some boundaries that would make sense. So I wanted to do this. I wanted to destroy a lot of, not just the blank part of the wall, but create some interest. This is something that you can do on your pieces to make them stand out a little bit more, not only to yourself, but to others who might be checking your stuff out. Instead of just picking the blank part of the wall, pick a part of the wall that would be unexpected, right? So you can go right in the middle. Right in the middle is somewhat obvious. On just the blank part, just the flat part, I mean, that's also kind of obvious. Right in the middle of this is going to get rid of all that detail. So I kind of want to, I think, like off center makes sense. So I break up some of this detail and I break up some of this and I keep a frame for the diorama, but it's not right in the center. It's a little off center just to make it a little bit more visually interesting, if that makes sense. So sort of playing against type, playing against what's expected can be much more interesting. So your first gut instinct, maybe question it. And if you find, that might seem too boring or too simple or too obvious, then try to find a position that you might like differently. And it works with these windows too, with all details in your piece, not just a broken wall. But that's why I put this to the side, right? I could put it to the center, but then it would be framing this almost like I'm trying to show you just this. But I want you to look, I want your eyes to move around the diorama. So we've got, we've got a crack down here. We've got a crack in the street down here. We've got a chunk missing there. So if I were to paint this and finish it, somebody's eyes could go, oh, that's pretty. Look down there. Oh, that's neat. Oh, that's really realistic. Oh, that crack looks good. Oh, I didn't realize the street was cracked. And then they can kind of zoom out and appreciate all the details, kind of lead their eye around. I'm taking that same basic concept and just applying it to this. It's the same thing with posing action figures, with making a dollhouse, painting your house, decorating your room. It's the same concept, right? Just creating something for you that's interesting to look at or draws people in. I'm always thinking about the whole drawing people in thing, because most of my dioramas, if I'm honest, I don't make for myself. I make for other people. And so I try to make something that will be stimulating and interesting for them continuously. Not just, something simple. I want something that can draw your eye, they can go back to and maybe find more things. And I find even if you do that for yourself, it's much more satisfying to have what you've made in the end. It makes it funner to have. So anyways, with all that said, here Greedo is in the center. I'm going to put him a little off center here. I'm going to use a Sharpie because Sharpies don't really bleed through the paints if you use like a standard acrylic paints on these. Pens, ballpoint pens will bleed through. Inks do not soak into this foam. They sit on the foam and then they'll go into your paint when you try to paint, and you'll smear the ink around. But the Sharpie ink, it sits better in the foam and doesn't want to lift. If you use a lighter color over the Sharpie ink, though, you're going to have to use multiple layers to disappear the Sharpie. That's why I usually do a black coat. Well, that's not why, but I don't usually have to worry about that, I guess is what I'm getting at, when I black coat the diorama or base coat it with black or a dark color, because it just hides the Sharpie right away. And also, don't press hard if you're going to use a Sharpie. I made that mistake on my X-Men Danger Room diorama. When I was tracing out a detail, I pressed a little too hard, and then there's like a squiggly line in my grid. You can't see it unless you're right up to it, but it bothers me to this day because I know there's a squiggly line in my perfect little cyber grid that I know about, and people, if they get really close, they can tell it's there because I pressed too hard with the tip of a Sharpie. So anyways, that's enough rambling about that. So I'm basically just going to kind of trace the brick where I want to cut it out, right? So I'm just going to pick a spot, and if somebody breaks through a brick wall too, they're not going to just break through and it's going to be a perfect shape of the person. That's almost a comedic thing if they break through and it's the perfect shape of the person, because especially in an older wall or in walls that are built in layers, like this is masonry. Typically, you're going to have masonry like over sheathing over 2x4s with something on the other side. Like if it's an older building, it's going to be chicken wire and plaster. If it's a newer building, it might be drywall or more masonry on the inside. So it's going to break in this general shape, but with breakaways at points that would logically be weaker, or more breakaways. So like I might break away under this, like it fell away because maybe this part is stronger because it's reinforced inside the wall, and this part is stronger. So it might, if it breaks away, this corner might not break with it. Like if it breaks all the way up to here, or down here, this corner might stay. It might crack, you know, or this brick might crack off. So think about weak points and strong points within a wall, and your break, and because I'm leaning into the hyper real, that's where it might make sense to break it or not break it, or break away more or crumble more, whatever, if that makes sense. So these are all the things that run through my head as I do this. I mean, it kind of becomes natural after a while, but saying it out loud, it kind of sounds funny, but that's what I do. So I'm just going to do this. And I'm going to break more of these bricks as I do this. I'm just tracing the bricks that I know I want to remove for sure. You'll see what I mean. You don't have to do this specifically either. I'm just doing this. I'm tracing the bricks so I don't drag a line into my brick like I was just warning you against. So, and you don't even have to do this part if you want. You can just eyeball it. I'm just doing this so that we have something to look at as I do it. And there's some level of anticipation for you guys of where things are going. Because if I didn't do this, you'd just be like, I don't know what he's doing. Or I know I would be. I'd be like, what's happening? All right, let me move you guys a little closer here. Oh yeah, Greedo's head is like right there. Right there. I want to decide how far over I want to go. Not too far here. Maybe just like right there. Yeah, like that. Whoop. Don't fall, Greedo. Don't do it, Greedo. You have to live so Han Solo can kill you. Okay. Foam ASMR. Okay. That's looking kind of cool. As a general shape here. That looks kind of cool. Maybe I'll have a little bit more breakout up here, just for the fun of it. Okay, I'm liking this so far. Maybe I'll take this one off. All right. They're sort of random, and there's gonna be more that's gonna get pulled away. This is just this, like, sort of the smallest shape here, if that makes sense. Yeah, Greedo is confused, like Star Wars theory. Bricks and screws. No. All right. Bricks are a logical building material for any species on any planet that has Earth. All right. Hello. So one thing to keep in mind is where you put your magnets. I'm going to go ahead and steer around my magnet here. Oh, and one thing I need to mark is where my sidewalk intersects my back wall here, so that I don't so I don't cut too low here if I cut this. Just gonna mark that. Maybe magnet is right here. So I just know I need to be somewhere. I don't want to go past this corner here when I cut, so that I don't cut my magnet out and not below that line, because then it would kind of wouldn't make sense. And we're going to crack some of the ground here too. I'm going to lay some bricks down here. We're going to have chunks falling down. It's going to be interesting when we're done. I promise. Say sign for Earth? Did I say something? What did I do? I don't know what I did. Did I say this is Earth? I don't know what I did. Sorry. I have a package right here from my new friend, Tim Holtz. If you guys don't know who Tim Holtz is, he sells products at hobby stores and craft stores, like little glass jars and inks and all kinds of cool acrylic things. He's been talking to me on Instagram for a while now, and he decided to send me a bag of goodies to make stuff with. So I actually just cut that open. I didn't realize it was from him until I cut it open. I went, oh! So look out for me using a bunch of cool stuff from Tim Holtz in future videos. Okay, so time to get nuts. No. So I did gridate the other side, start to gridate the other side of this before I did the main side. I was just testing, I was timing my own speed to make sure I could do everything in the time I wanted to on the first stream in episode 40, so that's why this is there. So we'll see if these line up with the other side. We'll figure that out when we get there. But there's a few ways you could approach this. If you really want to make this easy for yourself, you could cut out this whole side and then just detail one side, take it out, cut this out and re-glue it, which I'll probably do. Or you could go through and cut it all. A lot of guys, because they're going for the more comic accurate look, they'll take a knife and they'll just cut out the shape, pop it out, and add their cracks and details. That's another way you could do that. Actually, maybe we'll go that route because it's a little bit simpler, and I can do more in the time I have. But this is my general shape, so I'm going to go through and cut out inside these lines, and I'm going to go back and trim out individual bricks, because if you were to punch through a wall with enough force, not every brick is going to break in half. Some whole bricks are just going to fall right out. And that's something I see a lot of guys miss when they do these walls. They don't necessarily break out whole bricks. They break out, like, they cut through bricks, like a laser cut through the wall. And that's only some of the things are going to do that. They'll chip and break, but like they're not always going to break evenly on halfway through a brick. You know what I mean? They're going to chip out and whole bricks are going to fall out, or chunks of 3 or 4 bricks are going to fall out. You're not going to have every single brick cut in half. That's not really how physics works. But in the comic book art version of it, it does work well that way. But so something I've noticed with some folks when they do that, my eye goes to that because I'm like, that's not really how a brick would break. But you know, I'm gonna do it my way. So it's my channel. Bart, you're totally right. That would be a caveat to that. Bart brings up a good point. If Cyclops blasted through it with his optic blast, which is concussive, by the way, it's not heat-based or laser-based, it's concussive. It's just physical. Actually, my point still stands. You're wrong. If we're going with the concussive-based Cyclops blast, but if we went with a heat ray, yeah, it would cut it perfectly or melt it away. That's a fun one we should do. We should do melted walls. That one would be actually pretty easy. Maybe we'll do that next. Just cutting all the way through this. You're right, Bart. A laser would work. I'm just teasing. Okay, so Okay, so I've got a basic cut here, and we're going to cut some more details out. Again, there's really a trillion ways to do this. I'm just showing you the way I would do it. I shouldn't say the way I am doing it. Haven't had a lot of requests for busted up walls in my time doing dioramas. Usually it's a naturally weathered wall, like I said before, where it's falling apart because of lack of upkeep. Those are usually the types of decay I'm doing, not necessarily the city superhero villain city fight decay, which I have done, but not the colloquial smash through the brick wall, though. A lot of the choices I make are about controlling the process so that I can keep everything. I can have as much control over the process as I'm going through it, too. So there are faster ways to do things like this, but you may be sacrificing control of finished product. You know what I mean? So, like, I could literally just drill a bunch of holes through this with a hole saw. You know, that would be really fast. But I wouldn't have as many bricks that were intact to do other things with. I wouldn't have as much control over the tear out. I'd have more cleanup. Like, there's a lot of different things you could do, right? So, how much more do I need to cut through? I need to cut through a lot. All right, I'm going to lift this up and saw through here. Probably should have switched my blade before I started the stream, but that's okay. Raw and unfiltered foam cutting. Better. Be careful doing this. Keep your hands out of harm's way. Here, do some more. Almost there, folks. There we go. Anybody read any good books lately? Or listen to any good audiobooks lately? I've been listening to the Barsoom series, Edgar Rice Burroughs. Pretty cool. It's actually better than I thought it would be. I mentioned that before. I'm also listening to Area 51 by Annie Jacobson, who's a really cool journalist who does investigative deep dives into like weird random subjects. And this one is the history of Area 51. It's not like woo-woo, it's like the actual history of Area 51. How it got established and what actually goes on there. It's pretty cool. But you learn a lot about all the horrible stuff that radiation does to the atmosphere and what it's been doing since the 1930s to the atmosphere. Which I already knew some of, but hearing it from this perspective is like, oh man, it's even worse than I thought. But it's a really fascinating book to listen to. All right. The Spy Who Came In From the Cold by John le Carre. Sprawl trilogy? Did you read Neuromancer? I did not read your Neuromancer yet. I'm behind on that. Oops. Sorry about that. Sock. Yes. Virginia. Yeah, the book is good. The first 5 chapters of the book are like exactly like the movie. There's a few tiny little things, but the way he meets Deja Thoris is totally different in the book. And basically, like the whole movie is like the first 8 chapters of the book, and then it's like there's like a whole bunch more. So and there's like 9 books or something. So now I'm going to go back and cut out a lot of these individual bricks. What is up, Fishnet? Yeah, I'll get there, Fat Red Foo. I only own Neuromancer, but what I'm doing is I'm actually going back and reading some of the books that influenced Neuromancer. I just have this weird thing where I'd rather, with so many of the things that I loved growing up, they were influenced by other things that I ended up watching after the thing I loved when I grew up, like Star Wars. You know, loved Star Wars when I grew up, but George Lucas was influenced by Kurosawa films, by Flash Gordon, by the everyone, you know, all those documentaries talk about all the serial TV shows that were on and movies. And he was even influenced by like DC Comics and stuff like that. So, and then now I'm going back and reading all that and going, oh, that's where all those ideas came from for watching all of that as an adult. I cut these already. Yes. And with some of these things I had never gotten around to reading, like Neuromancer, I am going back and doing the research on what authors and writings influenced some of these books that are considered classics, and I want to read those first so I can see the influence because I'm curious. I want to read it from that perspective. So I'm reading Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep first because it came out before Neuromancer, and there's people online who have argued that likely influenced Neuromancer, and that, you know, that trilogy of books and stuff. So I am reading that first, which I'm behind on because Mrs. O's workshop was making me read it with her. I was not allowed to read it unless I read it to her. So incidentally, we're both tired when we get home at night. So we're like, I'm too tired to read. And she's like, I'm too tired to listen. So I'm a little behind on that one. I'll get there, though. I'll get there. I do know Johnny Mnemonic. I believe it or not, I saw the awful movie before I knew anything about what it was. Long time ago. Didn't even remember what happens though. Yeah, I know that's what I'm talking about. Fat Red Foo. What you're saying? There's so many things that have become pop culture, major pieces of modern pop culture that were influenced by other things. And I found with some things, when I've gone back and read the influenced works, I actually like the works that influenced them. I actually like those even more or better. And so I'm just like, I want to read them in release order. I want to have the experience of the author. Like, I feel like that would be a fun journey to take the experience of the artist or the author or the creative who is influenced by these works. And so read this and go, ooh, I could see where you could go with this. And then maybe read their work going, oh, they went this direction, or they went a different direction than I was expecting, or, oh, now I can see where that came from, you know, and enjoy it. I feel like that would be a different way to enjoy something. Not a lot of things so far in my life I've enjoyed that way. So I thought it would be fun to try to enjoy these that way. Just see how it goes, you know. All right, let's have to be a little bit more precise here. This is the boring part, folks. Get this done, otherwise I'm not gonna be able to talk. Otherwise, I'm gonna talk about books and not get the diorama done. And then Mrs. O's workshop's gonna be calling, going, "Are you done yet?" No, man. There we go. And then you can just tear them out. And this is where the tear out actually works to your advantage, because the tear out is going to leave like marred up surfaces like that, which looks like a breakaway or a collapse. Make a mess. There we go. We've successfully ruined our diorama a little bit. I recently had my first reel on YouTube go, I wouldn't say viral, but more viral for me. Most of my reels have not hit above the 10,000 view mark. Most of them are in the, 1,000 to 4,000 view range. I have a few that have gone past that. I have a couple reels in the 60,000 view range, but that's out of hundreds of reels, But this last week, I shared how I was making a miniature walnut coffee table. And apparently the internet liked that. And it's now my most viewed video on YouTube with 206,000 views in 3 days. So thank you if you're one of the viewers who saw that and came to the channel and hit subscribe. I gained over 350 new subscribers from that reel. So thanks, internet. The algorithm gods were with me this week so that more people could come and learn how to make miniatures with us. So again, if you're here, thanks for coming by. I'm glad you like miniature coffee table making just as much as I did. And I will show you guys at the end of the stream what that coffee table ended up turning out like, because in that reel I actually didn't show the finished coffee table. I was just showing part of the process. Well, most of the process. I didn't show the finishing process, which was just sanding and sealing. Not too complex. A little bit of sanding, a little bit of sanding, a little bit of filling, and a little bit of sealing. I had to do a little bit of filling because one of the gaps in the corners didn't sit just right. So, but that was no big deal. I use this material called plastic wood. You can get it at hardware stores. It's just a filler, but it dries really, really fast. I love using it, and it looks great. So I had to use some plastic wood, sort of like wood bondo, to just even out a little spot of it. Jim Burr, thank you. Thanks for being here. Thank you for that. I'm glad you love the channel. I have successfully tricked over 15,000 people into subscribing to my channel. Oh! Self-deprecating humor. Okay. That's a broken wall. All right, let's see what it looks like on its own before we do any more. I might want to change it or not change it. I don't know. We'll see. White Vegeta, have you set up an affiliated link for equipment and supplies? I put links in the descriptions. White Vegeta, thank you for asking. For relevant stuff to the stream or to the video I do. I don't have like an Amazon store, an affiliate link store, but I will get around to that eventually. But some of the logistical things like that, I just don't find the time for. And when I have the time to do it, I'm usually too tired. So I will, but in the video descriptions of most of my videos, I have either links to the basics, like in this video, there should be a link to the foam and the cork and stuff if somebody wants to get this exact foam. In other videos, I have links to glues and tools and whatever, but I will eventually do that. I actually plan on doing some videos for you guys on what tools I use and why I use them. I know that's been a long time coming. Most creators do that at some point. I've never done that. So I will be doing like my favorite tools, tools I can't live without, stuff like that will be coming this year. I'll put those in there. So, but thank you for asking. I appreciate that. All right. Greedo. This is Multiverse. What if Greedo? What if Greedo were a polite bounty hunter, but was also extremely strong? We could do the toy commercial version of Greedo. Here. Get your super action Greedo right now! Ah! No. Sorry. Just had the idea to do that. Okay. So I think I want to cut over a little bit more here, looking at it. A little more on the bottom. Maybe just a little bit. Super ultimate what if action Greedo. Okay. Just gonna do this. Okay. Why you not there? Why you not there? Okay, there we go. I was thinking about books today because I watched a documentary. It's a free documentary on YouTube. Yeah, I do need a Kool-Aid man. That's a great idea, White Vegeta. I was watching a documentary on YouTube today. It was a free documentary about H.P. Lovecraft. So I've read some of his short stories, and they're, you know, he's known for doing sort of vintage horror, but he has some really cool steampunky sci-fi stories. And the documentary basically, because it's true, he actually was unfortunately very racist, which is unfortunate because he's an incredible author. But they dive into his personal history and the stuff his family went through, and there seems to be an explanation there of like somebody who was very traumatized as a youth, and hearing a father figure blame the wrong persons or people for troubles that they had that were made up in his mind because he suffered from syphilitic hallucinations, and unfortunately that influences and traumatizes a child, and that child was H.P. Lovecraft. So it's really interesting. If you want to watch that, they dive into his personal history and his letters, and it's like, man, that's depressing because he's such a great writer, but that sucks. So anyways, that's why I was thinking a lot about books today, because I was like, and then they get into that. It's like, oh, lovely. Daniel Wesley, Star Wars. Kool-Aid Man shot first in Star Wars. Heck yeah. I don't know if you guys have ever read any Lovecraft, but Mountains of Madness is a really cool book, or short story. And Whisper in the Darkness is actually, I think, probably my favorite one. That one is pretty wild. I call that one, that's one I call a steampunk story. Very, very cool. But anyways, if you want to check it out, pretty interesting stuff. Uncomfortable subjects. All right. So, see that little tear out I did there? That's the type of tear out that you could expect from brick, right? If you just naturally, and the foam actually imitates brick pretty well in scale too, if you just tear it out. So I'm gonna do some tear out. And I'm just gonna use my fingernail and tear away. Tear. Fat Red Food. Yeah, I actually found the same thing. The Mountains of Madness can get really monotonous, but I read it. I listened to it in an audio form, and it was. I liked it. It's pretty. I mean, he wrote that back at like the turn of the century too. So the linguistics and culture of the writing is also very dated. You know, so if you can't get into that, you know, for any reason, I totally get it. But the stories are good. They're pretty much all about fear, and, you know, fears inside manifesting as horrors. But Whisper in the Darkness was cool because it's like it takes old technology concepts and applies them way before I thought. Okay, talking about influences in books, this is like what I was getting at. The idea of taking, how do I say this without spoiling the book, or the short story, because it's a short story. You can read it pretty quick. The idea of transporting your consciousness across time and space instead of physically traveling somewhere is theoretically much easier than physically trying to travel to another place in the cosmos. And this guy explored that over 100 years ago. And when I read this, I was like, oh my gosh, how did he even think of this? But it's perfect, and it makes sense even with modern theoretical physics, but just using technology that was available in like 1920, you know. And I when I came across that part in the book, I was like, what? This is amazing. So anyways, that's all I'll say, because the rest would spoil the book, but that's pretty fascinating. Yeah, I have ADHD, so I'm not good at sitting there looking at a book unless it's like hyper riveting and I can't put it down, which is pretty rare for me. If I listen to it while working with my hands, like in the shop or at my job or whatever I'm doing, then I can listen to it and pay attention. I saw this meme about ADHD that said, I've got ADHD. I can either give you my undivided attention or my undivided eye contact. Pick which one. And that's true. That's true for me. If I try to focus on giving you eye contact, I won't hear a thing you say. But if you let me look around and don't get offended, I'll hear everything you say and I'll be able to respond. And it's the same way with books. Like if I listen to an audiobook, and move with my hands, do a motor skill as well as an auditory, auditory reception, what's the right word? I can't think of the word. As if I'm receiving auditory sensory something and doing something with my hands tactily, I can get both things done. But if I try to just do the audio, I'll lose focus, or try to just do the book, I'll lose focus because it's one sense being taken up. There's a whole, I forgot the terminology, but performing a motor skill and then doing a thinking skill. If you have a motor skill to distract that part of your brain and your neurons while performing the thinking skill can focus more. So that's why a lot of kids in school like drum on their table or tap their leg, kids with attention disorders, because it actually helps them focus. So that was my thing when I was growing up. I was the king of drumming on the table and getting yelled at by the teacher, even though I was totally focused. I was just distracting other students. So, that's how it goes. I get it. See, look how real this is already looking. Breaky, breaky. Yeah, The Mountains of Madness is a pretty cool story. It actually inspired some pretty scary movies. The book, I would argue the story is like not nearly as scary as the movie inspired, but the book it's pretty creepy. There's a couple, but it's not like, it's going to scar you for life. It's like, oh, that's kind of creepy, but it's all like science-based and archaeology-based. It's really cool. So... I don't know. How does that look to you guys? Does that look broken up enough? Down here, I'm going to start cutting this up here a little bit too. Also been reading a lot about ancient Assyria lately. It's been pretty interesting. I like ancient history a lot, so I've been reading about all kinds of things like ancient rulers back in the 1400 years BC. So, and like their interactions with neighboring nations and just all the crazy stuff that went on back then. Esarhaddon is the Assyrian king I was recently reading about. And I actually got to see some of the ancient artifacts from Assyria when I went to the British Museum with Mrs. Euler's workshop, which was like, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. And there's they used to carve, it's actually pretty cool. They used to carve like family photo albums, but they would do it on stone and they would do it on prisms. And here, let me set up I gotta move my station here because my battery is getting weak. They would basically carve family photo albums and photo albums. It was basically the ancient Assyrian Instagram. There's this really cool prism called the Prism of Esarhaddon at the British Museum. And it's basically the Assyrian king bragging about all the other things, the other kings that he met during his lifetime, and like showing little pictograms and hieroglyphs. Actually, are they hieroglyphs? Yeah, they're hieroglyphs. Hieroglyphs or bas reliefs, or they're high relief. Sorry, they're high relief on this prism of basically what he did when he visited these kings or had dinner with them, and it's really cool. We got to see that in person, and then I was just reading some more about him, like kind of refreshing my memory. But if you look up the Prism of Esar Haddon in the British Museum, you can see what I'm talking about. So, but they would basically chisel that, like, hey, I hung out with this dude, I hung out with this dude, I had partied with that dude, and those are all my dudes. Oh, Wild Mannered Reporter, I'm way ahead of you, buddy. Sacrifice plastic. I'm not into the ancient aliens thing in the way that you think I would be. I am into ancient peoples, though. Let's just put it this way. I have done a ton amount of research. I also, when I was a sign language interpreter, I interpreted several college courses on environmental geology and earth science. So I got to learn a lot doing that. And then I've done 20 years of research into a lot of this stuff. And that's a lot of the, let's just say carbon dating is flawed. And a lot of people don't talk about it. Even people who think they found new theories forget about the flaws in how carbon dating works. So that's a whole rabbit hole. But that's that's a whole nother stream, guys, is the issues with carbon dating and what's reliable and what isn't, and how a lot of dates are assumed, and making things seem younger than they really are and way older than they really are, and assuming things based off of previous assumptions that were based on previous assumptions that were based on previous assumptions that were based on bad or incomplete science. So that's a whole rabbit hole. So that's why I love this stuff. I went down that rabbit hole when I was in my teens, and I've never got out of it. So, but I love all that stuff. I love learning about it. I love learning about ancient peoples and what went on throughout history and Earth history. It's fascinating. All right, so now I got to break this up into something cool. Thought a lot about making an Egyptian diorama because I actually got to go to Egypt and visit all Luxor and Hurghada and Cairo and all that years ago. So I'd love to, with you, I would love to do an Egyptian diorama with, like, you know, something like from Luxor or the West Bank of the Nile, because there's a lot of really beautiful stuff over there that a lot of people don't get to see because everybody focuses so much on the pyramids or on the Valley of the Kings. But some of the best stuff is like right on the side of the road in Luxor. It's amazing what's there. You know, you literally, we stayed at a hotel that was $14 a night. And you can walk up to, it was a 3-story hotel. You walk up to the 3rd story, you go up to the roof, you have breakfast. It's all fresh produce and fresh cheese from the goats on the farm, like neighboring you. And you look out and you see the Luxor Temple and the Isle of Sphinxes, where there's like 600 little sphinxes with ram horns, just right there, right in front of your hotel, just chilling. $14 a night. So that was, I got pictures of all that too. So that'd be fun to do a video someday and make a diorama and then show some of the pictures. So I have a picture of Mrs. Euler's workshop on a camel in front of the Giza pyramid. That's a cool one. All right. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to break that, and I'm going to break that. And then we're going to plus this up. A place I'd like to go and I haven't gone. We were planning on going actually in December, but a bunch of our plans fell through. We were going to go to India, and then we were going to go visit Jordan, my namesake, and then go back over to Egypt and check out stuff we didn't get to see, and go to Alexandria. But a bunch of stuff happened that prevented us from doing that this year, so maybe in a future year. But I really would like to go to Petra in Jordan, and I'd also like to go to some of the ruins in Turkey and in Armenia. Armenia probably won't happen because that's probably not safe for me, but I would love to go to some of those areas above where ancient Sumer was, check out some of those places. We have friends that live in some of those areas too, so it would be cool to check them out. Someday. When I'm rich from all my YouTube money that I don't have. That's okay. We can make a diorama about it. How about that? I can live vicariously through my dioramas. Actually, that's kind of what I've been doing my whole life, living vicariously through toys and creating miniature worlds and collecting. And I've talked about that before on previous interviews I did with people's channels. the interview. I've been wanting to make a post with all the links to all the interviews I've done, if anybody was interested, because it's been a while. But I did several. I think the first one I did was Bat Force Grumps Radio, and I talk a little bit about building miniature worlds my whole life, where my influences came from. Creating your own little escapist world in miniature so that you have control over your own world as a way of dealing with your own trauma. So that's where this all began, folks. That's where this all began. And look, my lines were lined up. Look at that. They're lined up. So we're going to detail the other side of this and break that away. Look at that. You just tear it. It's like a perfect break. That looks good. Bart almost went to Jordan a few years ago while you were stationed in Kuwait. Really? That's interesting. I know somebody who was stationed in Kuwait. Well, I know somebody in the action figure community who was stationed in Kuwait. Haven't talked to them in a long time, though. Bart will be 49. Oh, I'll be 38 soon. We're all getting up there. Hang in there, buddy. Yeah, Fat Red Foo. That's why a lot of people, you know, I've talked about it many times already, so I won't bore you with that whole thing again. But miniatures, in my opinion, are a form of surrealistic art. They draw us in because there's that quality of it's real, but it's not the real thing to it. So we're like interested in how it came to be. But there's also that sort of having power over your own creation type aspect to it. We're creative beings. We want to make, we want to design, we want to invent. And part of the emotional nature of that, and this just, you know, I'm spouting from my experience here. I'm sure that, you know, I'm not the end all be all of what I'm about to say, but what I've noticed and learned in my own travels and journeys in life, which has been few, but is that one of the ways that we can deal is to create our own little spaces, right? Our own little worlds. And that can manifest in anything. That can be making music on your guitar. That can be collecting toys to create a space that's your own, that reminds you of things that matter to you or things that influence you or take you back to a moment that mattered to you. And for some of us, that's miniatures, right? And for me, I look back on my life, I look back and that's what I would do. I'll share something here I haven't actually gotten to share in detail before. I used to play with Ken dolls. Not because I like Barbie or anything, but because when I was younger, I had a couple of good friends. My mom used to be in show business, like small-time show business. She was a singer, and she worked on a crew with people on a stage show. And she had a bunch of really good friends. One of them was one of our neighbors, and the other lady that she worked with had 2 daughters. And they were friends, so actually I grew up around them, and we were friends. And they had a giant collection of Barbies. And so we went over to their house a lot when I was like before the age of 15, you know, from the ages of like, you know, 1 to like 13, 14. We went over to their house a lot to hang out because our moms were friends, and then we were friends naturally. And they had their dad was a pretty well-off lawyer, and he just bought them like every single Barbie, like 2 of every Barbie that came out. So I would inevitably go over there, and they didn't have G.I. Joes and Wolverine like I had at home. They had Barbies. So I was like, sure, let's play with Barbies. You know, I didn't care. I was like, let's goof around. And so we created stories. But to me, I was just creating a story, right? I was having fun with my friends, you know, and it was never about boy toys or girl toys. It was just about having fun. And so I was totally comfortable playing with Barbies. And so one year, my mom decided to gift me. She knew I didn't want Barbies, right? But she knew I liked creating my own world, right? And at the time, I'm talking about when I was quite young, they didn't have all the Marvel toys that they had. Like, they were starting to come out. They were just starting to come out. Like, I'm talking like late 80s, early 90s. that stuff was just starting to be around to buy, so it wasn't available, but Barbie stuff was. And so my mom got me a couple of Ken dolls with like the manliest stuff, like the surf Ken doll, and she found me like a hunting jacket for Ken, and she went and got his sports car and she painted it for me. She painted it, I forgot what color, like blue or red or something, because I think it was pink. And she gave it all to me, and I had a blast for like 3 years, like playing with that. And I actually have a home video. I showed it to Mrs. Euler's workshop when I found out I had a family member that worked with special effects. My dad decided to go on a journey with me and figure out some special effects. So I have a home video of me and my dad when I was like 6 years old, stop motion animating a Ken doll on our kitchen table. It's really awful, but it was a lot of fun. And it's one of my earliest memories of creating my own movie and creating my own little world with what I had available, you know? So I had a lot of fun with that. And again, it comes from that wanting to create your own little space, your own little world. So that was one of the earliest memories I have of that. And then also I had Legos and Lincoln Logs, right? So for me, it was anything I could find. It didn't matter if it was a Ken doll, a Lego, a Lincoln Log. I didn't care. And throughout my whole life, I've been obsessed with design in any form. There was a period of time where I was really into just cooking, just because I like to design dishes and I like to design flavors. There was a period of time where I was really into like certain forms of dance, like hip hop, where I was like, I wonder if I'm not physically inclined and I sucked at it, but it was fun to learn about it. I learned about the design of dance and the origin of dance, you know, different types of like modern dances, you know, nothing like classic, but because I'm not into that. I wrote music for many years. I used to get into Fruity Loops and recording software and create digital music and play my guitar. And, you know, so I've always liked to create things and design things. But the thing I always went back to was miniatures, because you could literally sculpt your own world with your own rules entirely how you want it. And I feel like it's one of the most freest forms of that. A musician might argue that it's music. A painter might argue that it's painting, but it is that for me. I would always take my toys, like my Star Wars toys, when it snowed. I think I mentioned this before. I do have these pictures somewhere, but I think it was in the late 90s. It snowed one time, and I got to stay home from school. So I took Luke's snow speeder. I took Luke. I took my Hoth playset, my Rebel Snow Rebel, my Han Solo in snow, my Tauntaun. And I took them out to the snow. And those were the first toy photography pictures I ever took. I went out into the snow in my front yard and I set all those toys up and I took physical photos on a disposable film camera. And until I ran out of the film, and I went and paid to have those photos developed. I think I kept like 4 because most of them were out of focus, but I still have those. I'm not sure where I put them, but I have them around. Maybe I'll try to bring those out and show them. But that's me creating a miniature world, and that was my first foray into toy photography. I was messing with that. And I've told this story before on another podcast, Renouncing Adulthood. I did an interview with them, and I talked about how I tore apart a bush. I got home, I can't remember if I'm mixing up my stories here, but I got home from school early one day, and I couldn't get in the house. I think this is this story. I might be combining 2 stories, but anyways, I got home from school one day early, and I was bored, and so I sat down in the dirt, and I was like drawing lines in the dirt, and then I started drawing out the map of a ranch or like a farm in the dirt, and then I saw this juniper bush, and there was those I think it's a juniper bush. There was those budding green junipers that kind of look like miniature cabbages. So I picked a bunch of them off the bush and I put them in the rows and I made like a cabbage farm. And then I took a bunch of branches off the bush and I planted trees around the farm. And then I started breaking off the branches and making like a log cabin for like the ranch house on the farm. And then my mom came home and she saw that I destroyed her bush, but I built a farm. And at first she was mad, but then she looked at the farm and she was all like, "That's cool." And she went in the house. But like, I always gravitate towards that as like a form of creative expression or escapism, you know? I think the Legos part of it and the obsessed with design part of it is what leaned me into the mechanical drafting and architecture part of my life, where mostly during middle school and high school, I really got into that. got obsessed with architecture and drafting, took those classes, learned how to do a lot of that stuff, learned a lot of the technical construction aspects of things, learned how machining tools work in a general sense. You know, so a lot of times when I speak on these live streams and I misspeak, or even in like my electrical video where I misspoke a few times, I know what I'm talking about, but like sometimes the words don't come out right because it's like I haven't done it in a long time, but I know I've had the experience, right? So anyways, my brain's all over the place now, but yeah, I've always gravitated towards building things and putting things together for myself. And I realized when I was pursuing architecture in high school, I got a job working for an architectural firm as a draftsperson, and I'm just kind of putting this together to see what it looks like. I got a job with an architectural firm as a draftsperson, and I was interested in pursuing a career in architecture, but then when I learned it was going to take, like, to do what I wanted to do, was going to take like 8 years of schooling, you know, and I'd have to work as an apprentice somewhere, then have to build up. I mean, it basically would take me 25 years to get to what I wanted, which was I wanted to sit down and design houses and buildings however I wanted to and just have them be built. That's what I wanted. You know, I was kind of naive. I was 17 years old, but I was like, that's what I want. And then when I found out it was going to basically take me more than twice as long as I lived, I realized, I had the foresight to realize all the life was going to get sucked out of me going to school for this. By the time I was done, I probably wouldn't want to do it, or I'd be so disillusioned with it or full of my own knowledge that the reason I wanted to do it would be gone from me. So I'm like, and then I realized the reason I wanted to do that was because I love to create. It had nothing to do with wanting to be an architect. It had to do with wanting to create. And so I can fulfill that need right here with you guys. I don't have to be a trained architect to do that. So some people, that works for them, but I realized with my brain, my attention span, the things I have to learn, that was not the right path. But it all comes back to wanting to create miniature worlds where I had some level of control, where I could express what I wanted, build what I wanted, create what I wanted with no limits. And that's why I like finding materials like this foam, because they let you do that. Foam, you can basically make just about anything with foam. The limits of the material are basically how thin you can get, how you can attach it to something, and how strong it is when you add more to it. That's really the only limitations, but you can practically make anything with this foam. And I've heard other people say that, the people that I really respect and appreciate that are artists and creatives in the film industry and in the industrial, working in industrial applications, have said the same thing about this foam. So that's why a lot of us use it. Can kind of do anything. So, it all fell out. Okay, let's just kind of pile this up, see what we can make of it here. I'm talking a lot and not reading comments. Going on a rant, as Mrs. Over's workshop would say. So, logically, if we smash through this wall and this fell forward, it would fall forward. We'd see the detail on the other side, right? It wouldn't fall forward like that. That doesn't really make sense. So this is why I talk about having to detail the backside, because it would fall forward, and that's what you would see. Some of these things, though, maybe we'll trick the eye, and we'll let them fall down like this. Probably won't use all of these though either, because, or we could put some on the backside too. I don't know. We'll see. I'll have to lay some bricks down individually. Just kind of laying this out to see what it looks like here. Like that. Probably get some bricks out on the street, right? Man, that pistachio latte really got me going. Woo! Caffeinated conversations. Take a breath. Okay. Pistachio latte, heart racing. All right, let me detail the backside of this really quick with a wire brush. I'll be right back. Aha! Oh, I have to reglue that. That's okay. Poke, poke, poke. Poke, poke, poke. Stay there. All right, and I forgot to cut the bricks into this. Let me do that really quick. Yes, I'm just guessing, if you're wondering. I'm not going to worry too much about it here, because this is a destroyed diorama. There we go. Get my pencil. Let me get a pen. This is why I use a pen for this. Because the pencil doesn't work. Try that again. Isn't really doing it right. Boop. There we go. There's some of this out on this side too. Okay. There's that. There's that and that. And we can do this. And put this here. That's starting to look like a busted up dio. Do this. Start to break it. See if I can curve it around the. There we go. Do something like that. Cut that out. Tear that out. Like that. Like that. That. There we go. I'm liking that more. Hello. There he is. Let me get a piece of foam to go back there. 1 sec. Easier to see. Voila. Stay there. Okay. There we go. So there's, you know, just so you have some backing there. But what's up, Star Marvel 76? Thank you for being a member for 23 months, my brother. I appreciate that. Oh, 23 months. My goodness. Can't believe I've even been doing this that long. I mean, it's been longer than that, but 23 months. I think I started live streaming started channel memberships 24 months ago. Yeah, because you've been a member the whole time. Thank you for that memory. Thanks for being here, bro. Okay. I think I've already talked myself tired. Oversharing is what we do here. We've got the incredible Greedo. He's green, he's mean, and he busts through the walls. So this is probably how I would go about doing this for a display, right? If I wanted to have an active display for a figure, I would probably glue these down. I'll do some cracks in the concrete here in a sec, but I would probably glue these down this way. But it would make more sense if I was painting everything to take all this off the table and paint the base first and paint this all separately, then glue it back down, right? So theoretically, you could paint your wall and then cut it all out, but then you have to go back in and paint all these edges. So either way, it's going to take roughly the same amount of time. So, but what would make sense now is if I was going to paint this, is to clear all this off and paint the base, its separate colors and finishes and whatnot, paint the wall and the broken bricks, put it all back on. And then what I would do, because I'm not going to paint this, I'm going to leave this blank for demonstration purposes. I will actually have this in Vegas with me too. If you're coming to Vegas, I'll have this on display to show people there what they can learn from my channel, or if I have any channel members come by, they can see it in person, pick it up, take a picture with it. I will also be bringing my mascots to Vegas. So yeah, the next step is weathering with materials, right? Substrates, that's what I was trying to say. Substrates and rock and brick and chunks of stuff that would fly everywhere. So we're gonna do that here too. And I'm realizing now that I have this on here, I might want to permanently put something there. Or maybe I'll build a false wall back here that's set back a little bit, and I'll put a light there. You know, it's like instead of right up against it, I'll pull it back and put a light. That might be kind of cool. Paint it like green so it offsets. I don't know. Do something so that it demonstrates the dimensionality of it. Because that's the whole point of this diorama. All right, let me read some comments. I've been talking a lot. Oh, White Vegeta. Yes, that's a great point. Some bricks might stay in place and just turn. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll grab maybe a half a dozen of those or more and do that. Good suggestion. Fat Red Foo. One of my Barbie men. Your graphic designer. Yeah, oh yeah. You know, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is doing art professionally can suck the art out of you, depending on what you're doing. You know, some people get along just fine, but it depends on what you're doing. Fat Red Fruit, I am with you on that. Fat Red Fruit says, soul crushing. I create with my heart. I'm not an assembly line. Yeah, and that is the way I had started to feel last year with some of the commissions I had. I was starting to feel like the fun was getting sucked out of it because I was just making for other people and I was losing my joy. Bart, we're all good at making a mess. White Vegeta, do you find it more enjoyable to create a completely unique thing or something similar to something you've done before but refined? I get a lot of requests to make weapon crates. Yeah, so that actually goes along with what I was just saying with Fat Red Foo's comment there is, for me, I do like redoing things, but adding to it or changing it or doing a new spin on it. If it's something I've done before, I don't mind redoing it if I can change it. But I don't like making the same thing twice unless it's something I feel like I can do better. It's kind of the same thing. But like I've had probably 24 people, maybe more, reach out to me since I posted my Batcave video series like 2 years ago, wanting me to make them the same Batcave. And I told them all no. I have one commissioner waiting for a Batcave, and he has agreed to do it totally different. It's going to be a totally different style of Batcave. I don't know when I'm going to get to that, but that's coming down the road. He's got a Batmobile. He wants me to integrate into it in a certain way. It's going to be a totally different Batcave, and I will film all that for the channel when I do that. I haven't started it. That's a ways away. But that's the one I agreed to because we both agreed to a price that worked for both of us, and a style that was new for me and that he wanted. So I was like, great, we'll do it. But I had so many people want me to make them the same one. I was like, I'm going to be, after halfway through the second one, I'm going to be bored out of my mind. So I can't do that. So, White Vegeta, yeah, I could incorporate broken wire. I might. That would be something I'll do at the end. So we'll like a conduit or something. Probably wouldn't do any rebar because you don't get rebar through masonry. You get it through concrete. But yeah, you could go crazy with water pipes and stuff. I'm gonna probably avoid the water pipe. Well, maybe I'll put one in. I don't know. We'll see when I get there. But yeah, I could do some broken conduit or something like electrical lines. Maybe even some broken boards behind the wall. That would make actually a lot of sense for how to do it. John Robeck says put a video screen with a swirling vortex. That is an excellent idea. Maybe I'll set it up so I could do that with my iPad. That's a wonderful idea. I have black 2.0 paint, Bart. That's a good idea too. Paint that back wall with black 2.0. Okay. Forgot what I said I was going to do, but I'm going to do this. Let's start gluing stuff down here. Just keep moving. Oh, I was gonna chip up the street. That's what I was gonna do. That's what I was going to do. Oh, my mom also made me, talking about mom gifts my mom gave me. She also knew that I like, along the whole lines of making my own world and having my own play sets and things like that. And in some cases we just couldn't afford the stuff I really wanted. Like some of the big expensive G.I. Joe stuff wasn't in the budget. And of course my mom wasn't really into the war stuff. So she was always like, hey, why don't you not buy that? Or how about I don't buy you that? I had an Uncle Bob, a lovely Uncle Bob, who would buy me the really cool, big, expensive toys. He got me like a motorized crane truck, which was amazing, and he got me like RC vehicles a lot, which was amazing and fun. But she made me an entire world she made me a teddy bear, and she made a teddy bear for my teddy bear, and she made an entire closet of clothes for my teddy bear, and she made a bed and a back wall and furniture out of like birchwood. Like she made it all. My mom made it all and gifted it to me as like this huge teddy bear playset. And I named him Walden, and I can't remember what I named his. My teddy bear had a teddy bear who was a little girl teddy bear. I can't remember what I named her, but I have both of those teddy bears still. They're up in a box up there. Maybe I'll bring them down. Actually, probably should bring him out and put him on my back display since he's such a big part of my life. But yeah, my mom built me like a whole teddy bear playset, right? So along the lines of thinking in worlds and realms, I had basically my own teddy bear rustic home. And it was like, he had like, it was like camping. It was like, because my mom, I loved camping with my dad and my uncle. So she actually found him a fishing vest and also a hunting vest for that teddy bear. Maybe that's what it was. I'm not a hunting vest for Ken, but a hunting vest for the teddy bear. Which was awesome. And so I had like my camping proxy in teddy bear form to remind me of all my fun camping like in the redwoods in North California with my uncle and my dad. So thank you, Mom. I know you're watching. She watches the streams. So yeah, maybe I'll get Walden down and we'll put him on the back display. So that would be kind of cool to have him there as a conversation piece. My mom, one of the good gifts that I got from my mom was the desire to make things and make things for other people. Sometimes if that goes unchecked, it can get a little wild and crazy because then your gifts can kind of become about you making the gift rather than making the person you're giving it to happy. So I had to learn to dial that back later in life. But definitely the wanting to give to others definitely came mostly, I would say, you know what, it's probably 50-50 because my dad, he liked to teach other people how to do things. He just had no patience. He would get angry really quick. But I have pictures of my dad coming to my preschool class when he worked in a bakery and teaching kids how to make French bread. So I do have videos. I have pictures of my dad with my preschool teaching my whole preschool class how to make a loaf of French bread. So my dad liked to do stuff like that too. But I think as he got older and I got older, he lost patience. So I learned how to use power tools because of my dad. My dad, he liked to make furniture and things like that. Actually, he also did get into making miniatures before he passed away, which I kind of forgot about. I have one of his miniatures still. He was designing a futon chair to build for his tiny apartment so that he could have a lounging lazy boy chair during the day and flip it into his bed at night because he didn't have a lot of space. He built a miniature model out of balsa wood and made a mattress for it. I still have that model. It's actually in storage at my house. Another thing I should probably get out and put on display here, but I just haven't really gotten around to it. And he also made a miniature model of the gazebo that he built at my mom's house, because my parents did get divorced, but they still, for a while, they were on good terms and they would trade. So my dad traded a deck for a car. My dad traded my mom for a Volkswagen Bug, 1974 Super Beetle. In return, my dad built my mother a deck with a gazebo. He made a miniature model of the gazebo. Unfortunately, that was made of 1/4-inch foam board, the foam with the paper. It kind of fell apart over time because it's not a reliable material for longevity, but that was fun to enjoy for a long time. And he made the platform. He was building the gazebo out of wood after, but this is when he passed away. He built the deck and the gazebo, and he built those models, and then he actually built the deck and the gazebo in real life. And then I think for fun, he was just building the gazebo out of balsa wood. So I have the base of the gazebo in balsa wood with stained redwood around the base and stained balsa on top, which that's in storage too. But yeah, he was making that and he didn't get to finish it, unfortunately. But I thought about finishing it just for the fun of it. But again, that's another project I don't have time for. So maybe when I catch up all my commissions, we could do that. Maybe finish my dad's gazebo miniature or something like that. But my dad had this really cool idea for this folding futon chair, which I think has been made now, but it didn't exist at the time. This was back in the late 90s. It didn't exist, or we couldn't find it, at least in America. But he had this great idea, and I was like, man, Dad, you should patent this. And he's like, I don't have $10,000 for a patent, but I can make furniture for my apartment. So, yeah. Another dad story. But anyways, yeah, my mom loved to make things and give things to other people. My dad liked to give of his education to other people, so you are definitely, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree in that respect. So here I am teaching on YouTube what I know. But the power tools I got from my dad, I couldn't find the key to my dad's sneaking storage unit when he passed away. Otherwise, I would have inherited a ton of tools. But I couldn't find it, and then I was so sort of distracted and distraught over his sudden passing, I kind of forgot about it all. And I ended up, like, I think the landlord asked me one time, was like, hey, there's this small shed full of tools. What do you want me to do with it? And I'm like, I think I was just like, just if you can get into it, just keep them. And he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, yeah. But now looking back, I'm like, dang, I should have kept those, because I would have had all the tools that I've bought now as a business owner. I would have had at least half of what I needed. But I didn't know I was going to need them. I was just like, whatever, I don't want to deal with it. But he made a really cool Adirondack style chair. He taught me how to garden, do basic gardening. And he made an Adirondack style chair, and that's how I learned how to use a circular saw when I was, I don't know, I was like 11 or something like that. My dad was like, he showed me how to slice up the back slats of the chair. And we made that together, and he sat in that thing in his little garden in his like sort of apartment thing. It's kind of weird. It's like this little cottage thing that he lived in. It was in the back of these apartments that he was able to score. And yeah, anyways, cool memories of things my dad taught me and cool memories of my mom making cool things for me. She still wants to give me things to this day that I have to tell her no a lot. She's like, she's constantly finding things in the thrift store going, could you use this for your miniatures? Could you use this? And I'm like, I already have a workshop full of things I'm never going to get to. But every once in a while, she just like, will find something that I can't say no to. So thanks, Mom. I see your comments, guys. All right. I'm just trying to keep moving here so I get stuff done. You guys see what I'm doing here? I'm just kind of taking this and I'm jerking it through. When you have perfect curves, it doesn't always look right in concrete. Sometimes it does, but I kind of take the knife, and as I curve, I'll jerk the knife one way or the other. Like I demonstrated this before over with these cracks. So, and typically towards the center of where the impact occurs, you're going to have more cracking and more breakaways. That's why as I get closer to this wall, I'm doing more breaking away, and then I'm doing spidering as it goes out, where I've got some like kind of like glass shattering. So I'm going to do a little bit more cracking, and you'll have cracks that sort of follow almost a ripple pattern, like when you drop a rock into the water. So, but they'll usually be offset, like this line I just drew around here. You guys can see that very well. This crack that I just did around here, you'll typically get like a concentric one, but this won't continue to the next break. It'll like start offset off of it and like go to like here, and then you'll get another concentric one, and it won't carry over exactly. It'll be offset and carry over like that, and then you'll get that spider webbing type of stuff. Where you get some cracks that carry through and some that kind of break at an angle. And you'll get little tiny chunks that break out in random places. Sometimes when you see a crack too that you already did on accident, like right here, there's a little crack, I'm just going to roll with it. And then when you get into these corners that get created, they tend to be weaker, so you get little breakaways, and you kind of create a little triangle break when you get into a corner. Like right here, there's one just screaming to happen. A little triangle break right there. This comes from walking my dog around in the morning and looking at cracks in the concrete where I live in our condos. I do that a lot. I've actually taken pictures of sidewalks and had neighbors look at me like, "What are you doing, dude?" And I'm like, "Don't mind me. I used to play with Ken dolls." That's what I say every time. Chunk it out. Chunk it out. Okay. Well, I'm glad you feel that way, Fat Red Foo. Thanks for being here. Okay. That's cool, Lone Wolf Labs. All right, so something else we're going to do here is I cut all these cracks, but we need to have some like undulation in the ground. So I'm going to get something flat and strong, like these chunks of walnut that I have, these little cutoffs, and I'm going to use it to push down sections of the foam at like angles, and create a sense of pressure, having pressured down onto it. And I might create some more divots and breaks, and then I'll just accentuate those later. You could do this beforehand too and let it inform your cracks. Like you could just push this into the foam before and then create your cracks from the creases that you're going to get from the wood, which actually probably would have made more sense in this instance, but either way works. If you want to control what goes down and what goes up and the shape of it, you do it the way I just did it. If you want to let it be more random, which can look more real too, you can push it into the foam first and then let those divots you create inform where you put the cracks. So you see there's a lot of undulation now, and there's some extra divots I created, so I'm just going to go ahead and pull outward from those divots and let that inform some more cracking. You can also do this with a hammer. I've done that before. So I use the back side of my body hammer here just to push stuff into the cracks I created. You know what I mean? And you can use the flat side and you can also kind of rub out any dings and dents you put into it. Push along the edge of your cracks. All kinds of, and you can really get any tool. Like, you can do this with anything, right? You can do it with a flathead screwdriver, you can do it with a piece of wood, you can do it with, you know, a rubber chicken if you really want to. Whatever you want to do it with. I'm just kind of grabbing stuff that's around me that I've used before that I know works. So, go like this. Put this here. All right, I'm gonna reset this and make sure I've got everything kind of where I want it, and then we're gonna commit and glue these things down. Okay, actually, I just saw that I should do some cracks here in the bottom of the opening. There we go. The power of Greedo! Bring me Thanos! My voice cut out there. Bring me Thanos! Bunch of blue lightning. Bring me Solo! There we go. Greedo, stand up now. I made the floor all messed up. Now, Wonky Greedo. A wanna wonky. There we go. Ta-da! Voila. We have destruction. Bart, excellent idea. Hey, Brian! What's up? Brian Carr's here, everybody. He founded and runs Toytography Magazine. Go check out toytographymagazine.com and subscribe to his digital or buy the physical copies like I did. He has diorama tutorials in his magazine, as well as how to set up toy photography shots and interviews with members of the community. It's a great magazine. Especially if you don't know where to start with something, it's a good thing to read and kind of get you some inspiration. Where to start, where to go, what to do if you're interested in toy photography or diorama builds. Brian, this is the battle that rages on forever, right? Who shot first? Thanos or Greedo? Okay. White Vegeta had a good idea to do some holy concrete-y stuff, so we'll do that. I'm going to add a lot more texture too as we layer up other stuff here, so you'll see what's coming down the road. Doop-a-doop-a-doo. Thanks guys for all those likes again, I appreciate that. Lets people know I'm live in case they forgot I existed. Okay, time to commit. Using EPS glue, the best glue ever for foam. I don't really like white glue for foam to foam. Or tacky glue, which is just another type of white glue. A lot of people use it, and it does work. I just like this better, just because of the way it sticks. It's just way stronger. Do. Try not to think too much about it. Once you've got a layout you like, just kind of roll with it, you know? That's a burp. In case you didn't know. That's what a burp sounds like. Boom. Somebody got angry. Alright, maybe I'll leave one loose just for kicks. Or no. Nah, I'll lose it if I leave it loose. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. That looks pretty cool, at least as far as the brick part goes. Okay. And now we are free. No. That's a little bit too big of a rock. Bart, we're on the same page. All right. Let me get my glue. This is what I like to use the white glue for, is like substrate and material. So, where did it go? Where did it go? So I'm gonna put some big stuff down first. Get some bigger chunks of rock. I'm actually going to shove some rock into the cracks in the concrete, because concrete, a lot of concrete, especially older concrete, they'll lay down concrete and then pour a bunch of river rock, well, like aggregate into it, and then lay concrete over it. It helps to strengthen older types of concrete. So I'm assuming for my diorama, this is older concrete, so you'd see rock showing through the concrete. I've done that before in dioramas. Little trick-a-rooney for you guys. And a good habit to get into is, if you're going to do multiple levels of destruction, lay down the bigger things first, like the rocks and rubble, and then lay down the smaller stuff. It looks better that way. It lays down easier that way. Probably should go get my tweezers. Let me get you guys closer. There we go. This is where we get a little tedious, but it's worth it. The paint and the weather, the washes are really what's going to sell this too when you're done. But if you do as much sculpting as possible before you do that, all the detail and all the texture in these stones, like these are just stones from outside I got out of the dirt and sifted. Oops. See all the texture in that? Well, here, let me show you a bigger one. All the texture in that is the same texture on these smaller ones. So when you paint it and you add washes over it, like even if you just painted them all gray and then you put some blue and some green and some purple washes over it, it's going to bring out all that detail. And people are going to look at it and go, oh my God. Litter, as you've seen me do many times before, kitty litter is great because it's consistent too. If you want to get a consistent look, like if you busted up one material, kitty litter would be a good substitute for brick. You'd have to paint every little fleck of it. So it would look great. It's just going to be very tedious. So I do recommend it if you have the patience for it, you know. So like if I were to paint this diorama, like these two rocks I have sitting here, I might paint them red to make them look like little chunks of brick that flew off. That saves me from having to save little chunks of foam that have brick texture on them. Because a lot of times, like if I tried to glue in like this piece, this kind of looks like a piece of the brick because one side of it looks right, but some of it doesn't look right. So you might find a lot of your tear out pieces don't look right because you've only textured one side or the foam is too thick to look realistic. So using chunks of rock that are small enough to look like a part of the brick can achieve the same effect, and it'll actually have a lot of texture already there. So again, you don't have to do it that way though. Do whatever you want. I'm not saying it's the right way, it's just a way. Do some more here on this side. Squirt some glue in there. Squirt some glue up here. Squirt some glue right there and right there and right there. Usually I'll have a wet brush, so I'll smear some of the glue around. But it's not a huge area, so I'm just going to stick with this. If I was doing a bigger area, I would maybe get a brush. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick up, so now I'm wanting to get into the smaller things, so I'm going to just pick up some clumps. I have this pre-mixed sort of material here. I'm just going to pick up some clumps and sprinkle them where they make sense. After I place some larger rocks to sort of fill in behind things, I'm going to come back. And I'm trying to pick the more jagged ones that don't have rounded edges, because the rounded edge ones will just look like river rock. Like this one's got a pretty round side to it. That's going to look like a rock I put in it. But if I pick a more jagged one like this, I might be able to paint it and sell it as broken concrete or brick, and it will look right to the eye. Just little things to think about. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and now I might get my glue and brush out. Now that I'm moving into the small stuff here. Actually, yeah, one sec, let me get that. Doot. Beard, hello. Hello. Mod Podge. Oh, my brushes were right here the whole time. Hello. Actually, I want a clean brush. These are dirty, so they're going to smear black water everywhere. I don't want to do that. I want it to look unpainted. I'm going to use a fresh cheapy brush. Doing good. Yeah. Well, of course, the lid is glued on. Yeah. 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 All right. Let's get nuts. Put some glue in the cracks. Put some glue on the thing here and on the thing there. Pistachio flavored burp. We're gonna kind of go crazy here. You've heard of Flavor Town? Well, this is Crazy Town. Crazy Texture Town. I did a destroyed wall diorama a long time ago, like 6 or 7 years ago, in 1/18th scale for somebody. They loved it. They never shared any pictures of it. They were doing like personal toy photography, just as a personal hobby. They weren't really sharing much online. And so I was a little disappointed I didn't get to see a lot from it. But I have pictures, if you scroll way back in my Instagram, of it. And it's huge. It's like 22 inches wide by 16 inches deep in 1/18th scale. So it's really big. Yeah, it's a 2-story building that was destroyed by basically like bullets. You know, that's how we made it look. That's what he was going for. And it's got like burnt joists and floor joists and beams in it. You know, like it was just like an old warehouse that got a bomb dropped on it. So Bart, I switched to Mod Podge because I could get it with a brush in a larger quantity. The glue that I had was just a little tiny squeeze pen, and white glue and Mod Podge they're the same thing. It's PVA glue. So the Mod Podge I have is a little watered down, so I can spread it a little thinner, and I can get a large quantity on a brush and just move quick with the get out of the way, Greedo. With the glue thing I was using, I wouldn't be able to move as quickly, if that makes sense. I'll probably add some more to this too later. This won't be the only layer of this I do. This is like the main layer, and then I go in and do sort of a detail or additional sort of detail touch-up where I'm like, ooh, I need more there, I need more there. Or I might even take some away, you know? That's something that I could do. Some out here. Give it some explosive radiousness to it. Okay. That's good for now. Take some of these big rocks out of here. Got a couple of sticks in here on accident. Okay. We're just gonna dump it everywhere and let it do what it's gonna do, because that's what would happen if the Hulk smashed through the wall, right? It would just kind of go everywhere. That's like a leaf. So this is a mixture of baking soda and different sifted rubbles. I saved this because I actually have this stuff all separated by size. I have like fine grained sand, baking soda, even sugar granules, potato flakes, all kind of coconut fiber, walnut shells, small pebbles, medium pebbles, tiny pebbles, big whatever. I have it all sifted out into separate jars. But when I spread it all out onto a diorama, and I shake it off the diorama, because like all of this, if I laid it out from separate little jars and containers, it would all turn out like this. So I have a little container where when I shake off all the excess from after this glue dries, I put it in here and I use it for small projects like this. And I just have like pre-mixed rubble, right? So that's why I have this already mixed up here. Okay. Now, go work back on this wall a little bit. Did not yet do White Vegeta's suggestion where we cut the brick and rotate it out. I did want to do that. So, just gonna carefully do this because I'm facing it towards me. I don't want to cut into my hand there. There we go. Back in there. Where's my glue? See if I can move this without it. Yeah, okay, we're good. Didn't want to spill everything I just laid out, so I can tilt this down really quick. Vacuum that up later. Okay. If I can do this a little bit more precisely than unsafely as I was doing it a minute ago. Okay. All right. Three-dimensional. Very three-dimensional. Go. Good idea, White Vegeta. Would have probably not thought about that until I was like done and when I'm like, oh yeah. And then I would have just left it because I would have been lazy. I can do like a wobbly, bendy up thingy here. Get a pin. Hold that in place. Oops. There. Oof, I can feel the baking soda on my mat. Okay. Just blow off the excess here on the back side. There we go. Couldn't get this on because I had junk on the back here where my magnets were. There we go. Why is that tilting? Oh, there's crud on the magnets. Okay. Okie dokie. Now I'm gonna get real specific again and layer some stuff on some of the edges of some of these bricks here. With my brush and Mod Podge. There. Oop, that's not enough glue. All these little things help sell the illusion. Okay. Now the hard part. Getting it on there. I'm gonna do something here. Do this. Alright, kind of hard to find an angle to do this on camera. So just putting a little, even if it's not a lot, just a little bit of extra texture on those ledges to make it look like dust or accumulated fiber or whatever is gonna just help sell the illusion that it actually broke away. And it wasn't planned broken away, you know, it was actually broken away. It broke. Okay, that looks pretty cool. All right, let me just kind of reset here. Maybe we'll do some electrical conduit. Bye, Mod Podge. Until next time. Come on, there we go. Hello. What did you do, Greedo? I didn't do it, you did it. Shut up. Okay. Let me grab some electrical wire. Oops. From the box of wire. Scrap wire. I have big rolls of wire over there. This is like little bits of wire to use for whatever random thing I might need it for. Do I want to go with communication wire, speaker wire? Maybe with 2 leads, I don't know. Or stranded or solid core. I don't know. There you go, a little stranded, blown apart piece there. That looks like a good conduit, fake conduit. Maybe some red and some black. There's a black with a red stripe. It looks a little bit too much like normal wire though. Do I just have some black? I think I do. Yes, I do. All right, red and black. Can't go wrong with red and black. Hello. Okay. All right. So electrical lines are usually run below waist height. I think they're like 18 inches up, something like that. Somebody correct me if you know in the chat. I forgot the exact measurement, but they're below like waist height, and they're like, I think they're 18 to 22 inches off the floor or something like that. Is the ANSI standard, or the not the ANSI standard, but the UBC standard. I don't remember. Where is my poker? I have a metal awl that I would normally use for this. You can use a flathead screwdriver, or you can use a toothpick, which is what I'm going to use. And some pliers. Well, I guess I don't need the pliers. Okay, let me just do this. And I'm just going to kind of guesswork this one. Right there. And right there. And good thing about using stranded wire is you can just cut it with some scissors. Especially if you're just doing a small portion. I'm just going to cut off the ends of this. Boop. Boop. Of course, you can fray it out however you want. Bzz, 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 bzz. Use my EP, oops. as I drop it. Where did you go? It disappeared into the void of trash on the floor. Dope. Alright, I'm gonna put the other one on. EPS glue. Put this one in this hole. There's one. And here, help me find it, guys. Fell down here somewhere in the void. Where did it go? It's my red wire. Well, it's gone forever. It's in the land of Oz. I don't know where it went. Forever in my memory. All right, let me get my wire stripper. Hold on. Here it is. Fancy wire stripper. What gauge is that? Doesn't really matter, I guess. Whoops. There we go. Let me feed this through here. Oh, come on. There we go. Blech. Zap, zap. Just kind of twisting it up to make it look a little bit more gnarly. Does that make it look cool? I can't tell. Yeah, looks pretty cool. Probably need a busted piece out here though, huh? To make it look right. Does there need to be a broken piece out here somewhere? Actually, let me do this. It would be this piece, because that's the piece that broke out of there at that height. So I'll get my toothpick, poke a hole on this side, poke a hole on this side. And doop. Tell a story, folks. Tell a story with your diorama. The story of this electrical wire is that this piece came from that. And that's why it's in this part of the diorama. Wire back really quick. All right. Do we think this? I could shake this off, that and the most of the stuff I want to stay will stay. I guess we could find out. Let's just do it. Just get it over with. Rip it off like a band-aid. That piece. Okay. Let's do another shake off. Let's channel our inner Taylor Swift. Shake it off. Okay. Are you ready? Shake it off. I can't do it. I can't sing that. Ta-da! So I will probably add, actually that's looking pretty good. I would probably add an additional layer to this to create some connectivity between these sort of disparate globs that I've created with the baking soda. So I'll probably add a little bit here. Let me get you guys in closer. Probably add a little bit like in here, and maybe some more in here, and maybe some on top of here, just to kind of make it flow over a little bit. But this is pretty good. I'm actually pretty happy with it. I'm surprised that turned out as good as it did. But I would probably just do a little bit more connectivity so it doesn't look like there's just blank spots where nothing landed, because you're gonna have something land there, right? So what I'd probably do is create some spots of just baking soda, right? Because we've got the rocks strewn about throughout. But I would do maybe just some baking soda to create some connective flow between the sort of movement of everything, to make it, again, just to help sell. You don't have to, but I would, just to help sell the illusion of, you know, the motion of something breaking and the spreading of the debris. So I'll let this dry. I'm gonna tap it again once it's dry, because more will probably fall off after things shrink up a little bit. The glue will shrink, and some of the stuff that's not holding very well right now will just kind of fall off later. So I'll have to do another shake, another Taylor Swift, if you will, later. And then I will probably just, again, add some little connective tissue with some more baking soda just to make it a little bit more realistic. I think this wall is good the way that it is. I don't think I need to do anything else to the wall. But I may create that sort of like light box behind it, like even just with that there. Like that looks kind of, you can tell that there's dimensionality, and it allows you to see this edge clearer with something behind it. So I might make just that depth piece with a light, or paint it black. Like I forgot who mentioned that, but paint it black. I've got, let me grab it. I've got some black 2.0 over here somewhere. Where did you go? I don't know where it is right now. It's over here somewhere. Oh, there it is. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's black 3.0. I have some black 3.0 right here. Stuart Semple makes this. If you guys ever wanted to buy this, you could. There's a few different versions that different companies make, but he was kind of like the first one that went viral with the making of it. So this is black 3.0, and see there by Stuart Semple. You can order it. I think it comes from the UK. I got to mix this up. I haven't used it in a while, but you brush this. He actually recommends not spraying it on, but brushing it on, and brushing it on in like 2 or 3 layers, and it absorbs like most light. So that is a cool idea. So to build like a secondary wall with some space behind it and paint it with like maybe black 3.0 and put one light off to the side to cast a shadow on this, but leave it ambiguous back here would actually look really cool. So I might do that. This is excellent too for those of you who do toy photography, getting black 2.0 or black 3.0 and painting certain things that you're going to use regularly with it so they don't bounce light around, like painting your tripod or painting a prop that you hold things up on, or painting a stand can help eliminate light bounce. Even just flat black paint can do it, but it still has a bit of a light dispersal to it. This black 3.0 is, it's like as black as this, but dark, but a darker. Like it refracts almost no light. So it's very cool. It's fun to play with. I got this, and I got his chrome and his pink. He has the pinkest pink, the chromest chrome, and the blackest black. So they're all great paints. I've used the pink on graffiti before. I used the chrome on a Mando figure before, as well as for weathering my dumpsters. I've actually used his chrome paint over the finish greens and blues, and then I do the rust over it, and it looks really real. It looks great. So I do recommend. It's pricey, but I do recommend this stuff if you ever have something you intentionally want to use it for. So what do we got? How are we? What, 2 hours and 22 minutes into the stream? Let me make this. I can make this room, this expansion to the back here. I have enough time. We can do that together. The back ended up a little bit at an angle because of the way I did the magnets, but I'm not really worried about it when I build this back piece. And this back piece I might glue on too. Yeah, I think I will. Yep. Well, here's my vertical piece. I'll just cut this in half, make a top and a back. So I need one more back piece and one more top piece. Time to go to the foam storage. Aha! Street, anybody? Is that 12 inches wide? Yes, it is. Okay. This isn't even my full form. This isn't even my main foam storage. I have a huge shelf over there covered in 2-inch foam and styrofoam. I'll show that to you guys someday. I think I did show it on the stream once, actually. Never mind. Not as cool as I thought I was. Okay. Let's do this really quick. This is not too difficult, so. I'm gonna bust out the devil and my hot wire cutter. What do you think, Mason? He's not so sure. Just need my hot wire foam cutter for one cut. Actually, 2 cuts. I had it set aside because I was working on miniatures for Vegas, which were all non-foam based. Again, I will show you that before the stream is, or one of the things, a couple of things before the stream is over. Don't let me forget. Boom. Move this guy out of the way. Table is a mess, because it is. Okay. What is the dimension on this? I've got, oh, how many centimeters is it? It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 8 centimeters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right there is the middle of my piece. Boom. Gotta love a hot wire foam cutting table. Oop, there we go. Make sure those are identical. Oop, they're a little off. Okay. Alright, well, I'll just trim this piece to match. I was a little off, that's okay. The depth can be, doesn't have to be any specific measurement, just enough to create the illusion. A goose. Perfect. Got the rear walls, and then I need the roof. Actually, I need the roof and the floor. There is my roof. And yeah, those two, that one, making sure I'm laying this all out correctly in my head here. Dun, 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 dun. So this is going to need one side cut off of it. Yes. Okay. Turn that off. Quick calculations in the mind. Okay. So this are my sides. This are my sides. Like that. Here. Get you guys a better view here. This are my sides. This will be the top. And then this one I'm going to have to trim twice. And the base I need to trim twice as well. Okay, that works. Let me get the devil himself out. My good old pal, hog the glue. Yeah. Okay. Let that warm up. And get some pins. Or no, I won't need the pins. That's why I got hot glue. I'm gonna use the hot glue as a spot welder basically to hold things in place while my real glue dries. I'm gonna, actually I can cut the back walls while I do this. That's my top. Move this out of the way. I need to cut off 2 widths of foam, of this 1/2-inch foam from the back and the base so that it will slide in there. I don't want to have it bigger or taller than the back wall because I want the illusion to be that it's just a slice of a scene. So in keeping with that, I want it to stay the same dimensions from the front if you were looking directly at it. So I need to cut off the thickness of the sides from the back wall and the base, which I can measure with these 2 pieces. I can just abut them to the foam, to the wire with my fence, and then I know I need to cut off that dimension off of the back wall. So I can do that really quickly. Oop. So now this plus these 2 should be the exact thickness of my back wall, which it is. And then I'm going to cut the same thickness off the base here. Now my back wall and my base are the same width. And then when I add these, I get the full width of the back wall, and I'm under the height of the roof. So that it will all just be a perfectly sized box. I hope you followed me on that. This is how I work when I'm not talking. I just go, 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 go. All right. How are we doing? Are we at glop stage yet? No, just about. Forced it a little bit. Glue, 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 glue. Important decisions. This, let me get my square, wherever it is, so I can square these up. You guys saw me using these before here. Just gonna use this to square everything up as I glue it. And I'm gonna face these in so that from the outside it will look nice and clean. Okay. So EPS glue. I'm going to basically leave a space in the corner, the middle and the corner for the hot glue. And I'm going to put the EPS glue along the rest of the edge. If I was making like a way more permanent display, I'd probably make a nice, I'd probably mount all this on wood, honestly. But that's a whole other skill set that we haven't done live yet, so we'll get there someday. It'll probably be something I'll have to record. Probably a little too hard to do woodworking live, at least on that level or that size. I'm sure it could be done though. All right. Just gonna put this all together and make sure this is level. Yep. And just hold it and let the hot glue come down in temp. Do 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 do. Yes, I'm a man child. Hi Greedo, I see you next to Bricky. How's that? Is that good down here? That's good down here. It's good up there. Let's check, make sure that's, yep. Sweet. Make sure that hot glue is good to go. All right. That's why I do the hot glue as a tack to hold it in place. Same thing here. Making circles of glue. Hot glue. Hot glue. And more hot glue. New stick. There we go. It's pretty good. As it is. Oops. Don't slide around. Don't do that. Alright, hold this in place for a sec. You can blow on the hot glue if you want. I also showed that trick where if you use a upside down can of keyboard duster, it shoots out cold air, or coolant actually. I think it shoots out some type of freon, and it will cool down the hot glue immediately so you can keep moving. I just don't have any today, I'm out. Just gonna run that goop like that. Boom. Stay there. There we go. And the lid. Oh, that's the floor. That's not the lid, that's the floor. And the floor. Oops, do I need to cut a little bit more off of it? I might need to. Oh, I might have been a hair off on the floor. Nope. Just that side. That square was not a square. Oh yeah, forgot to compensate for the depth change. Okay, I will need to make another cut. Forgot to compensate for the depth of the back wall, so it sticks up the thickness of the back wall. I'm just gonna do this, and do this. cutter. And set the fence on that mark I just made. And cut it off. Oop. Look at that. That's a perfect square piece of lumber. Foam lumber. Okay. Oh. There we go. There we go. Much better. All right, I'm gonna spread EPS glue into the pocket. By the way, just a little tip. If you were to spread it onto this piece and slide it in, it would squish everywhere. But if I spread it on the pocket first, it'll squish into the pocket. Just a woodworking tip. And then I'm going to put hot glue on just 2 spots on this. Right here and right here. Put this in place. And I'm just going to do this. Hold this together. Now that it's level, I'll hold it. Stay. Stay away, stay away, stay away. Isn't that an Enya song? Stay away, stay away. Okay. Okay. Let's just check the fit. How the fit looks. Is the fit good? Good enough. Box. That fits good. And then this will be the lid. Let's see what that looks like just as it is. Look at that. Alright, maybe I won't glue it on, I'll magnet it on so I can remove it. Put like a, just stick a light in there. Neato. We did it. Alright, let me glue the roof on, ceiling, top, whatever. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll be here all night for another 30 minutes. Oop, there we go. I'm turning this towards the inside so it's not visible from the outside, as I said earlier. It'll just allow me to not have to paint over it. It'll look nicer as a presentation piece because I plan on taking this to Vegas so that if people, again, if people come to Vegas and see it in person, it'll look nice and pretty. It also could demonstrate the stuff we do on the channel for new people who don't know me. So, you know, try to make it look as presentable as possible. Hold it in place. Do 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 ba ba do do. Sail away. No no no. Shut up. I think that's gonna do it. Actually, I'm just going to add some glue to the bottom here. I forgot to do it on the back seam, and it's separating a little, so I'm just going to encourage it to not do that by doing that. Yep. I just melted a little bit there. This is high heat hot glue. I'm actually doing the high heat so that it grabs into the foam a little bit. I wouldn't recommend it if you're going to use hot glue as a construction method. Go with a low temp, but as a tack method, it works great as long as you don't go too nuts with it, because it kind of grips into both pieces of foam and like warps it together as a tack. So the low temp glue sometimes doesn't get that strong and it'll pull away before the glue dries. All right, we have made a shadow box. There's your shadow box tutorial. All right, since I have the black 3.0 out, and this is dried enough, why don't we paint with it? I'll get a fresh brush and we can paint with it. Blip. Actually, I can just use this foam that I already have out. Make sure this is mixed up thoroughly. I don't know. Let me double check. Yeah, it looks good. Do the sides first. Yeah, it's pretty thick still. That's okay. Probably have to do 2 coats of this. Well, I could at least get a base coat down, depending on how fast it cures. So a little trick to evenly spread the paint. After I spread it with a sponge, I'll tap it with the sponge, and it gets rid of all the brush strokes, so that you don't see brush strokes in your paint, and it actually makes the layer a little bit more even. I mean, I'm not going to worry about it being absolutely flawless, because this is going to be on a hidden thing. I'm just trying to get the dispersed light effect going, or the absorbed light effect going. So, but already, it's pretty dark. When it cures, it'll be very dark. You can do that with any paint. If you're using a sponge brush, if you need to get it even without brush strokes. Just a little trick I figured out a long time ago. Spread it around. Get it into your sponge. Oops. No. No. Probably should have put down some paper towels. That's okay. Okay, so you see the brush strokes in there? Just watch. You don't want your paint too thick when you do this either. You just want it sort of evenly spread that's not overly thick. Because if it's too thick, you'll actually add a texture into your paint. But as long as it's thin enough, all the little divots you create with the sponge will kind of resettle down and lay flat. And sometimes if the little bubbles, divots you create with the sponging are big, you can go back over it and get rid of them like I just did over here. They were kind of big over here. And these brush strokes are now gone. There's a little bit of a orange peel texture to it because of the sponging, but again, if it's thin enough, spread thin enough, it'll kind of spread back out and flatten, which this looks like it will. So. Again, brush strokes. You can also use a sponge roller. They have sponge rollers. They're hard to find in the right size though. Like they have small ones. I have a couple small ones, but I don't usually do this in spaces where the roller fits. You could just roll back and forth and do it really quick, but I just find tapping works fine, especially if it's a small area or a specific size area that a roller won't fit. But the roller does the same thing. And no brush strokes. Good morning. Sail away, sail away, sail away. Sail away, sail away, sail away. I'll see your comments, guys. I'll check the chat in a sec here. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for the 45 likes. Really appreciate that. Brush strokes. Squeeze some paint out of my brush here. There we go. No brush strokes. Okay. Same thing. Let's do this back area. This one's going to be, maybe I'll get the roller out for this. Doot, 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 doot. You can water this down, but it does ruin the effect of the light absorption. So you guys know. So if you wanted to spread it thinner, you could, but then you'd kind of just be using it like regular black paint, and you'd be paying a lot of money to ruin your paint. So that's why I'm just laying it down as it is, without any watering down or a wet brush like I might normally do if I was doing a base coat in black. I would get my sponge wet and squirt the paint and then spread it around with the wet brush to get it all evenly spread out as thinly and quickly as possible. But with this, it will ruin the light absorption effect, or at least like tone it down. So not advised. Oh, whoops. My mistake. All right, let me get my roller here. Hold on a sec. Little baby roller. Clean it off here. Hold on a sec, guys. A little dusty. I don't want dust in my black paint. Ah! Of course, I dropped it on the floor when I said that. Well, if it gets dusty, I'll just get some more. So here's like one of the little sponge rollers I'm talking about. You can get these like off the shelf anywhere. Yeah. Probably need 2 coats on the back especially. Oops. Messing up my side. No! Alright, let me get my brush, another brush out here and clean up the sides I just messed up. Bah! Bah, I say to you. Didn't get any in this corner over here. problem with using the roller is you can scrape over the side on accident like I did here. Let me just give myself a little extra paint to work with. Be less in a hurry here. There we go. Dope. Still did it. It's hard to do when everything is black and you can't see. Because there's no light bouncing around. Okay. There we go. Alright, I should let this dry before messing with it anymore, which will take probably overnight to fully cure, and then I will do the rest. Look, now I have a spare wooden dowel. All right, let's see what it looks like behind the dio. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah, that looks pretty dark already, actually. Maybe I won't need a second layer. Oh, got it upside down. Not that it matters, but... Look at that. See, look how dark that is. There's actually a line down there for the back corner, but you can't see it on the camera because it's... Here, let me see if I can get you closer and show it to you. There is... It's only... There, you can only see it... Yeah, you can barely see it right there. That's because there's moisture in the paint still curing. But once the moisture's gone, that'll just be solid black. Greedo is going in... Oops. Just touched Greedo's... Greeblies. There we go. Greedo is going into the void. Or I could have Greedo floating in there. Like put him on a wire. Just have him like, hello, or floating upside down. Hello. Greedo here. I don't know why I just made Greedo British, but hey, why not? Hello. Okay, guys. There's our box with the black 3.0. Yeah, I'm gonna need to do a second layer. You can see some of the little swizzle marks there. You can see some paint coming through there. But a second layer will make this like hardcore dark. That's cool. Good idea. Go team go, high five. Hello. Sick. Okay, let me get you what I was talking about and show you what I'm working on here. So one of the things that I'll have I shared a reel on my Instagram already, but there's a reel coming out on my YouTube next week. I'm making miniature terrariums. These are glass with plants inside of them on a walnut base. I'll be making a few different woods, but I'm making miniature terrariums. as miniature house decorations or set decorations. I've got about a dozen of them made. I'll probably make a couple dozen more of different sizes, different styles, different plants, different colors, different wood bases. Some of them are like 3-in-1, some of them are 2-in-1. So anyways, miniature terrariums. I showed these on Instagram on Friday, and I'll be dropping the same reel on YouTube with different audio, I think on Tuesday. So, miniature terrariums. And let me go get the other thing, because they're over on the other side of my shop. I am making really high quality miniature tables. So this is all steel and poplar, and this is all hand finished and joined and assembled by me. So these are high quality steel and wood miniature tables. I have a ton of these. This is just the simplest style that I've done, but I'm doing a million styles. I'm using steel. I'm also making ones with brass bases, making brass decorative pieces. I have some really fancy tables that I'm saving for a video that I'm going to release probably after I come back from Vegas, but the channel members are aware of what it is already, and they're going to get to see that video first. But a whole instructional video on how to do another type of table that I think a lot of people are going to like. So hold on to your butts. But I've been doing these. These are solid steel, and they're pretty indestructible little desks and tables and whatnot. You see it fits 1/12 scale perfectly. I'm going to make some in 1/6 scale as well. So this is all sanded, finished, cut, trimmed, fitted, all the terms is this. So I'm very proud of these. I've been wanting to do fine miniature furniture in 1/12 scale, modern stuff, not like vintage stuff, but like modern looking stuff for a long time. I'm finally getting around to that for Vegas. So you can get a little miniature table and little miniature terrarium to go on your miniature desk if you want. I know Greedo, he wants one. Yeah, the table got thrown through the wall. We'll go with that. Greedo's wacky crazy tables. Bam! Smashed right through the wall. You can see as it's drying, it's starting to get a little bit darker. Yeah, it's gonna need a second coat, but looks good. All right, that was a stream. Glad you guys were here for it. I don't know what we're gonna do for the next stream. For the next few weeks, I'm gonna be focusing mostly on stuff for Vegas and members content that I need to catch up on. I will be doing a stream here, but in 2 weeks, but I haven't decided what it's gonna be. So if you're watching in the future times and it's already out, you know what it is. All you have to do is look at the playlist. But for everybody right now in the current times, I'm deciding if I want to do something more to this diorama or start a new one or just show a cool skill or what. I'm open to suggestions. If you're watching in the future times, comment below and tell me. Or if you, once I'm done with this video, if you want to comment on the public chat and let me know what you'd like to see next from me, I would appreciate the suggestions. I have a whole book of stuff, but a lot of that's larger projects I don't want to start until I get back from Vegas. So if we do something over the next 4 weeks here before I leave for Vegas, I'd like to do something that I can start and finish in about 3 streams like we did with this. So I like to try to stick to more of those for people so that there's something fresh and new for people, and people can jump in on a new diorama instead of trying to catch up which I'll still do some big dioramas, but I'm not gonna do every single one as a 7 to 12 stream diorama. So you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for listening to my crazy stories about all the crazy things in my life and what I listen to. And I hope you guys are safe and be careful. The world is somewhat better, somewhat worse, depending on where you live. Don't make it any crazier where you live. Make it a better place for everybody. You know, be nice, be kind. Try not to be overly critical with people. Don't be overly critical of yourself either. We're all learning, we're all growing, we're all on the same path, but we're all starting off. Some of us are starting off in different places, and don't look down on anyone who you think might be behind you. They're on the same path. They may just have a different skill set than you, so be kind to everybody. We'll see you next time. Thanks for being here.